Good morning, good afternoon, and hello, folks. Welcome to another campaign update. My name is Fina Benon, and I am the U.S. Senate candidate for Florida, running on that Libertarian ticket, trying to turn the U.S. Senate gold. And today we've got very special guests. As always, we have the one, the only, the original, the never diluted, always full strength, always the right measure, Mr. Mike Scott.
Good morning. I'm feeling diluted this morning. I told her I woke up in pain. And pain gets me cranky. But we are back. We are back on the trail. I was out campaigning and driving by, and an Angela also Brooks bus came up behind me, blaring music out as loud as she could. I'm trying to talk to folks, and I was drowned out by my opponent, by money and loud, noisy distractions, and nothing was said and nothing was gotten across. I thought that was a metaphor for my entire campaign.
Oh my
Early
goodness.
voting sites. Yeah.
So you were going to early voting sites?
Yeah.
Were you handing out, you got like little pamphlets you were handing out to people?
I had them. I passed all those out at an impromptu, I was on the radio up in Frederick again, and they said there was a veterans event where they were at a ranch full of racehorses. So it was a VFW put it on, and I happened to go there, and I met all those guys, and I forget the name of it, but it was a really good time. And I got to see a bunch of old retired rescued racehorses out on this gorgeous ranch, a bunch of veterans. Took some video.
Did you get pictures? Did you get some video?
I got a little video. I'm not good at transferring stuff over. I had a lot of fun this weekend, so it was a good weekend.
I'm glad you're having a good weekend. You're doing something that I wanted to do for my campaign, which is travel around the VFWs.
Yeah.
And really connect better with the with the veterans out here. And you do what you can. You do what you can. And there's a chat here. Joe Hanoush said the Mike campaign got some help from the Duopoly PAC.
I did. I got some. Oh, I got a thing on that. Wait, I put that on there. Yeah. There you go. Somebody, I guess it's a Saving Western Culture PAC. I have no idea who they are, but thank them. And the reason I say I have no idea if they were trying to help me or not is they linked me with pro-pardoning President Trump. Like, I have no idea if President Trump is pending legal charges again. I know a 27th lady said he grabbed her, but nobody seems to care about that stuff, so I'm not sure.
So you remember, but I think it's Sonia. You remember Sonia that's running for
Sonia Agora.
Yeah. She had some PACs sending out misinformation on her behalf as well.
Well, Ted Brown went and found him because he got a couple of mailers sent out for him too. And again, we're not sure if they're trying to pull support away from the Republicans by saying I'm a viable alternative, or if they're trying to scare Democrats by linking me with the former president. Like I said, I don't know who they are, but I've gotten like 4 or 5 emails and phone calls, and only one of them said they wouldn't vote for me, and that's because I guess that crab at the top is not a Maryland blue. It's an invasive species. So they said since I didn't know my crabs, I wouldn't get put in. And I'm like, it's not my poster, man. It says not authorized by any candidate. I don't know those guys.
Wow.
But I appreciate, because I got 4 people that said they voted for me for that poster. So kudos.
So this is, I haven't had any good, I haven't had no PACs come at me. So you guys are doing the right thing. Y'all are doing something where you're stirring the pot and you're getting that attention. I've had a little bit of media attention this past week, and a little bit mixed. So there was a CBS article came out that was talking, what's on your ballot in Florida. And I think that between that one and the Orlando web newscast that just kind of like copied and pasted everything from my website, which thank you for doing that. That's exactly my words, and thank you for putting just copy and paste, and I'll take that all day long,
every day.
Yeah. And but the CBS one was the national one, and of course I get a paragraph compared to like the paragraphs of the other parties, but they spelled my name right. They had my profession right. They had some issues on there. None of them are like my big core issues, but they did do their research on it because they put like out of my 3 issues that they named, of course, for the other candidates, they put like, I don't know, 10 issues that, important things that I cover too. But they put one that was different than everybody else's. No one else had criminal justice reform on there, which is essentially the job of the government is criminal justice system.
Yeah, it's one of the few things I don't think should be privatized.
Yeah. So today we are going to be talking about decreasing the size of government, folks. This is going to be a good episode. I have a quick campaign update to get through, folks. I've been on the road. Oh my goodness, I've been on the road. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Dana Benoin, and I approve this message. Swamp puppies. Looking for swamp puppies. Don't see any swamp puppies, but I know they're in there. I know they're in there. Good morning from the Everglades. Good morning, folks. I am on the road, been driving since about 5 a.m. From Fort Myers, heading over, crossing the state again, getting over to Miami. I'll be in Miami today. Get your yes on 3 from me. Get your yes on 3 for me. Get your yes on 3, and don't you tread on me. Get your yes on 3 for me. Oh, yes on 3!
Yeah!
Vote Dana Benoin! Vote Libertarian! Go gold! Go gold! Go pie. Get your yes on 3 from me. Get your yes on 3 from me. Get your yes on 3, and don't you tread on me. Get your yes on 3 from me.
Crusher, government crusher.
Who's
Vote
that?
Nate, he's great.
Who's that? Who's that? Say hello. Say hello.
Slusher.
Nathan Slusher.
Yeah. Vote
What?
Slusher, the government crusher.
Who's that?
Vote Nathan, no taxation.
Who's that?
Vote Nate, he's great.
Yeah!
Yeah.
What's up, folks? Doing a little sign waving out here in Titusville this time. Vote Nathan, no taxation. Who's that?
Vote Nate, he's great.
Vote Nate, he's great. What?
Vote Slusher, the government crusher.
Vote Slusher, the government crusher.
Yeah.
Yeah! Vote Libertarian. Hey.
Can't afford too many a day put in prison we've had to pay just for the sake of smoking a J. So this is what we got to say to turn the world on our way. Hemp, hemp, hooray. Hemp, hemp, hooray.
Can your U.S. Senate candidate change your own flat tire? If you voted for me, that's a yes. Going. It is super flat. My hand up. What's your name? All right, Carlos. Thank you for helping me with my spare tire. Crazy, awesome campaign out here in Florida, taking it to the max. You think we're done? We ain't done. We ain't done. This is just a little hiccup in the road. Yeah, we gotta see this. Hold on. My ride or die right here. Yeah. All right. So that was my campaign update. 4 brand new tires later. And folks, I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna tell you a couple funny stories. So there was a spot in that video that I trolled the Republicans and Democrats a little bit with. So I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm out of money. I'm out of buffer money, everything. I'm out of signs. I'm out of t-shirts. I'm out of flyers. And so in Miami, I met up with Hector Ruse, and he had boxes of the Vote Yes on 3 stuff, like boxes of t-shirts, boxes of signs, boxes of handouts. And so I took my one last t-shirt that I was about to give Hector, and I draped it over one box. And I took my 4 last door knockers, and I placed them on another box. And then the box of signs, the big box of signs, I put my one sign, and I pulled it out just a little bit. And then I just posted it on social media, and I just said, yo, that's it. Just, yo.
I swear I thought you had a whole load of new stuff that you got in.
No, sir. I know. And so does everybody else. And I've been getting comments on that post like, sweet shirt. I want one. Make sure you save me one. There's nothing to save. There's none.
Speaking of comments, I thought you'd like that one.
Yes. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
And okay, so something kind of really cool happened. So I left my car out at Costco after I got the flat tires because I couldn't get on the 95 with the donut. No way. And so I left my car at Costco overnight. And then when I came back the next morning, they knew who I was. Everyone at the tire center, they were like, yeah, you got our votes. We saw your car. And we were like, hey, we voted for her. And then, you know, while I'm waiting to get my tires changed and everything, I'm walking around Costco. I had people coming up to me saying, hey, I voted for you. Another guy who used to be involved in the party even ran as a libertarian many years ago. He was like, hey, I voted for you. I know you. Shook my hand and everything. And I don't know who this is. This is good. This is good. And folks, if you want me to keep going, I would like to. I've got another event coming up in this weekend. But before that, I'd like to hit up the Panhandle one more time. But I'm going to be real with you guys. Like that $700 for the tires, that came out of my family money. And that's after a $1,500 fence repair that we did for the hurricane. So our funds are a little tight. So me getting back on the road right now, I don't have a buffer of if something were to happen. And, you know, the campaign funds, I'm literally like, if the Ramada Inn and Quality Inn does not return my deposit soon enough, I'm not even going to be able to check into my next hotel in Mount Dora. That's how low on funds I am. But that's a good thing. If you have a whole bunch of money left over at the campaign, you didn't do a good job. If you have a whole bunch of material left over at the end of the campaign, you didn't use your materials. And so I feel pretty good that we're out of stuff. I'm just trying to, you know, maybe scrounge up maybe $500 to get, you know, to have a little buffer of I'm going to the Panhandle and I've got this Mount Dora thing, which is the CannaFest this weekend. And, you know, the buffer of $500 would get me feeling safe feeling safe on the
Have you
road.
taken care of Dallas already? Dallas,
Yes,
right?
I have purchased my Dallas ticket, my Dallas hotel. So we're good for that. So here we are. So, anyways, we have great guests today. This is part of the goal to have all the U.S. Senate candidates on campaign update with an update. And today we have Phil Anderson running for U.S. Senate for Wisconsin. So I'm going to bring him on, and please, folks, please give Phil Anderson a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, Fina. Nice to meet you, Mike.
Welcome,
Nice to
Phil.
meet you too.
Glad to meet fellow warriors. It's hard to run statewide campaigns, no matter the size of the state. It is difficult. It is a challenge, as you just outlined, Fina. And I've had the same thing. Actually, I blew a tire outside of La Crosse about 3 weeks ago and had to pull over in this little gravel parking lot next to a farm cornfield and change a tire myself, which I know how to do, but it was on gravel. So it was especially painful on my knees, jacking up the back of my car. But that's the life we lead, right? That's what we chose.
Yeah. Yeah, I got so far in changing my tires. I'd taken the flat tire off. I jacked it up, did all the hard work. And then this young man comes and is like, "You want me to help you?" And at first I was like, "No, you're not coming in and just sweeping up my sweet pile after I done swept the whole room," kind of like mentality. And I was like, "No, take a step back. Yes, yes, please help me, because I don't want to get back on my knees again."
There you go. There you go.
So, welcome to Campaign Update, Phil. I'm going to give you the solo spotlight if you want to give your 2-minute elevator speech, and let's go.
All right, cool. Thanks. So I'm Phil Anderson. I'm running for U.S. Senate, Wisconsin, as Fina said. I am a libertarian. I've been a libertarian for a long time. Ran for a state assembly in 2014, ran for U.S. Senate in 2016, got a little over 87,000 votes, which is about 3%. Ran for governor in 2018, a state assembly in 2020, running again in 2024 for U.S. Senate. This time I'm taking a different approach. I am a libertarian. I'm running as a libertarian. However, my campaign slogan is disrupt the corruption, because a lot of people misunderstand still what libertarianism is and what libertarians are. And I've tried to build somewhat successfully a coalition with people who are maybe politically disenfranchised or not happy with their candidates, and trying to build common cause with people that are, love peace, would normally vote Democrat, but love peace and hate the fact that one of my opponents, Tammy Baldwin, is a warmonger, or who want to drain the swamp, in my case, disrupt the corruption, but don't trust the Republican Senate candidate, Eric Hovde, and cannabis activists who don't always vote with us. All of the issues that we believe in and that we fight for, trying to find common cause and people that will vote for me as well, as opposed to falling back into the two-party mindset. And it's gone pretty well so far. 1 week to go. And the big news that came out a couple of days ago was the Senate race here is so tight that Baldwin and Hovde are now kind of neck and neck. And Baldwin just ran an ad that supposedly targeted me and trying to get Hovde voters to break off and vote for me on issues that she identifies as libertarian, but possibly also things that Hovde supporters might like. So I dropped that in the Google Drive for us to look at some point today. But
I have it.
Yeah, thank you. It's difficult to run in a swing state. And I don't know how much Florida and Maryland are swing states, really swing states at all. But I tell you what, everybody has been here. Everybody has been here like almost every day. We've had Trump, JD Vance tonight, not even a mile from where I'm sitting right now in Madison. We're going to have RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, surrogates from other states, senators from other states, governors from other states. So that creates a particularly difficult environment to get heard in, because the press is justifiably at this point paying attention to the big names that are here. But the satisfaction I've gotten from running this campaign is being able to reach a lot more people that now understand what libertarianism is, or at least have understand that we're not just Republicans who smoke pot or, fake Democrats or whatever they want to call us. So it's gone well.
Yeah. Well, let me pull this up, the video, real quick that you supplied us, since we're going over some ads that have been running on our behalf. So let's pull this
Get
up.
the facts on the candidates for Senate. Phil Anderson is a libertarian candidate. He's trying to slash federal spending, stop government from regulating cryptocurrencies, end income taxes, and eliminate the IRS. Eric Hovde is the Republican nominee, a California banker. He wants to end protections for pre-existing conditions, pass an abortion ban, and increase health care costs for overweight people. And Tammy Baldwin is the Democrat, fighting for working families, working to bring down costs, protecting the right to choose, and getting law enforcement the resources they need to secure the border and stop the fentanyl crisis.
Okay, we're gonna roll it back. All right, so
when I first saw that, I somebody tipped me off Friday night or Saturday that she's running this ad, and it's not a television ad, it's a YouTube ad, but they've spent like $11,000 on it so far and gotten maybe 180,000 views, because you can look up Google ads on Google. They've got a transparency, whatever, that you can find out. You can't find out everything about the demographics they're attacking, but you can find out the spend and the duration of the ad. So clearly it's an ad by Baldwin to try to get Hovde voters to vote for me, right? Because so when I first watched it, I was like expecting to hear some kind of smear, right? Because I hadn't seen the ad yet.
yeah, like your part's like,
you know?
your part's like, yeah, I'll vote for him because
Yeah, exactly.
she wants to bring down costs. How's she gonna do it? I know how. Right here.
Both
Slash
of those,
federal spending.
yeah. I'm like, I'm in. Keep going. Keep
Everything
going.
Yeah.
is
Keep going.
really good. Yeah.
And the interesting part too is this has gotten a little bit of airtime. There's a guy who has a radio show in Milwaukee, Dan O'Donnell. It's the most listeners of any AM radio show in Wisconsin. And he had me on about 6 weeks ago, but not intentionally. Some polling came out, and he was afraid I was taking votes away from Eric Hovde in the polling. So he started talking about me on air and said he had an irrational hatred for Phil Anderson. So I called, and we talked. And so I got about 15 minutes of positive airtime, and I kind of put him in his place a little bit. I didn't give you that clip because it's all audio. But anyway, so I sent him this last night and said, "Isn't this interesting?" And he talked about it for about 15 minutes on his radio show this morning. So I've used it to get notice, airtime, my name on his lips some more, which should be really, really helpful for votes.
Yeah, I mean, this is good. I mean, this is
Eliminate the IRS.
eliminate the IRS. This is how we do it. This is how we decrease the size of government right here. It looks good. Looks good. Get an A+ from me.
And you guys know it's so hard to get coverage. I mean, it's so hard. All the forces are aligned against any third party or independents or whoever to get noticed in the press and to get mentioned, because not only are they intentionally corrupt, but they're also lazy. And we had a protest last week because they had a U.S. Senate debate, and they only invited the Republican and Democrat because they set limits on fundraising and polling numbers to be able to get in that were unreasonable for anybody except for the Republican and Democrat. So we protested outside, had about 30 people or so live stream from there, but even that barely got any notice in the press.
And how can you do well in the polls when they don't include you?
Exactly. So we've been in the polls, in the Marquette poll anyway, and a couple of national ones, polling anywhere from 2 to 9%, depending on where depending on the demographic you're looking at. But what's happening, because everybody's here, that the whole don't waste your vote, this is the most important election of our lifetime, that person can't win is just in the air here. It's everybody, all Democrats, Republicans, media members are saying it as a way to make sure that in that razor thin margin between my duopoly opponents, that they're gobbling up every possible vote they can chisel away from me.
That's what people don't get. They act like the vote is automatically theirs, and you're stealing a vote from one side or the other.
I hate that.
And they should really be trying to earn votes, because a vote for you is the right choice. I hope that those ads bring people to check you out, and that they decide, wow, this guy's really reasonable. So
I've been running, like I mentioned, this is my 5th election cycle, and every single time I get the, you're stealing votes from somebody, and I'm like, well, you should get a better
run better
candidate.
candidates.
Get a
Well,
better
that's the
candidate,
thing.
That's I work really, really hard for the votes that I get, really hard, and spend a lot of my own money, and beg people for money, and that's not the case for the Republicans and Democrats. They automatically walk into a state, and every county's got an organization full of bootlickers who are ready to serve whichever person is wearing the R or the D. And maybe
Even if they're flawed.
Maybe the LP will be that way someday. I don't know. Not bootlickers, of course, but maybe we'll be organized and bigger. But right now, that's just not the case.
They don't understand the game's divide and conquer. That's why they run such reprehensible candidates, because you vote out of fear. And once they got you saying, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Democrat, you tend to vote that way, and you ignore the fact that they're raising the debt, they're raising the deficit, they're partnering up to their billionaire cronies, and they're funding forever wars everywhere.
Exactly. I've come to the conclusion, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the ads that they're running, both the Republicans and Democrats, are so divisive. I don't like to use the word hateful, but so divisive and so radicalizing in a bad way. I think part of their goal is that people who are undecided or uncommitted just don't vote, are turned off by the whole process. And that's another thing that we deal with as libertarian candidates, is that trying to get people that agree with us, and there are tons, I believe there are a lot, but a lot of them have disengaged from politics because it's so nasty. And they don't see, unless they're really digging or participating in party activities, they don't generally see our candidates. So they get turned off, and then to get them to re-engage, it's not easy. They're not there waiting for us.
They spend billions of dollars every election cycle to make them think just that. You have to vote red or blue, or your vote doesn't matter. 2 out of 3 people, somewhere between 57 and 63, 64% say they want a third option. You're providing a viable option. And by the way, before I forget this, FINA, there are 11 of us running for Senate, 11 libertarians. That's why we call it a gold rush. FINA got all 11. You're 11 for 11, got them on the show and got seen. So I'm giving her big up. She said she was goal oriented and she got everybody. And you, just like the other, I guess, 8 candidates other than us 3, all sound phenomenal, dude.
We're close.
Exactly.
We're close on that.
And it's been interesting that the last October, the Washington Post came to part of Wisconsin, Door County, which is, if you look at a map of Wisconsin, it's the thumb that sticks in Michigan, because that's a bellwether county up there. And so they, at the time, the polling showed 56% of Americans wanted third-party independent candidates on the ballot. So I went up there and we did an interview. And since then, you can just see, and it was the same. It was the same in 2016 when I ran for Senate, and Gary Johnson was at the top of the ticket. When the first polling that was done in Wisconsin, the Marquette University Law School poll, had us at 10 and 9%, him at 10 and me at 9%. And then they poll like every 2 to 3 weeks from the middle of July through Election Day. And it just kept going lower and lower and lower, despite our best efforts. And of course, we don't have the money that the big candidates have, but also it's that mentality and that media message of,
well, you're fighting against Beyonce. Beyonce's on one side dancing or saying, I'm a mother. And on the other side, you got Hulk Hogan ripping off his shirt. You know, what are you going to do when the Hulkamaniacs come? We can't fight that. We have to have people who are educated and invested in the outcomes decide they want to see Mr. Anderson go to Washington.
Well,
and those people know and go to Washington.
Those people are with us, but I want to be careful not to sound too negative. But most of the electorate does not pay attention. They don't pay attention, and to the point where it's really infuriating, really. I mean, I just did, and I'm grateful for this, West High School in Madison, big public high school. Their civics club sponsored an all-school event, a town hall for us Senate candidates, and only myself and Tammy Baldwin went. But in the story about that, the advisor, who I won't mention her name because I probably don't remember it anyway. The advisor for the Civics Club said the kids were having a hard time finding information about other candidates. And I was just shocked to hear that from a public school teacher, the Civics Club advisor, who I'm on the ballot, number one. And number two, we've spent a fair amount of money on SEO. So if you look at the ballot and see Phil Anderson, and then you Google Phil Anderson, U.S. Senate, the top 8 returns are my website, Ballotopedia, et cetera, et cetera. So they just didn't look. And
Yeah.
I'll go even further. We had an event about 4 months ago in Northwest Wisconsin, and there was a guy who drove about 2 hours to get there. It was like a campaign event, but also for prospective candidates. A guy drove 2 hours to get there, sat next to me at the table, and then said, "I'm not sure who's," and he says he's a libertarian. He says, "I'm not sure if there's a libertarian party in Wisconsin." And I was like, I had to be nice, right? But dude, did you Google it? Because it's the first return too. Like, Google isn't be all end all, but it's a pretty useful tool to find out if things exist. But
I've shaken hands with
right?
political reporters. I've shaken hands with them, brought them in close, handed them my card, and said, "I'm Mike Scott, the Libertarian Party nominee for Senate. Talk to me. Come see me." And they've shaken my hand. They've been like, "Oh, that's great." Never heard a peep. I'm studiously ignored, not included in the polls.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they're corporate-owned media. They have messaging. They have an agenda, just like everything else.
Yeah. And at the scale that we're dealing with, I mean, Madison is like the 120th largest market in the country. Milwaukee's like, I don't know, 40th or 30th or something like that. But even here, the reporters at this level, they're not really concerned about journalism. They're concerned about, looking good, sounding good, and ascending the ladder to bigger markets and more money. And they just don't. They're not interested in doing their jobs. And there are a few exceptions. There's a very progressive guy in town, John Nichols, he's on MSNBC sometimes, who writes for The Nation, or is one of the editors of The Nation or whatever. He'll talk about me, that we should be included. So there are a few journalists still out there, but for the most part, anybody who's associated with television especially is just vacuous nonsense.
You can't even get the people that are out there that are supposed to be edgy, because half of them support an agenda. But our party is going through interesting times.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Ooh.
Interesting times. And it's okay. The fact that a libertarian is actually talking to the president,
Embarrassing.
I'm cool with it. I hope she goes and talks to the vice president also to get her opinions on things. And I hope they get to have a sit down. And I'm praying for both the president and the former president and the vice president, because I don't know what's going on. And I don't know who's on whose team anymore, because the teams just got shook up.
Yeah.
But we're going through the same thing in-house. And it's interesting, to say the least. But if we can't get our message out there and make it resonate, then our message, doesn't deserve to resonate, because the internet is flat. This is our best time to win without money, with just going out and saying stuff like you're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it has to be all about campaigns. The politics, libertarian politics, doesn't get noticed or mentioned outside of campaigns, really, right? So we have to have candidates. We have to support Chase. We have to talk about him. We have to make sure he's mentioned. Whoever our candidates are, like what we're doing now, obviously this is promoting each other, right? Because people will lose interest by about this halfway through November 6th, right? They'll lose interest, and they'll stop being even open-minded at all. And it's our job, I think, to continue to run and to continue to fight and to help other candidates run and make it so that we cannot be ignored.
So what's like the first bill you pass when you get in? Because we're going to win. All of us are going to win. What's the first bill you pass?
That's a good question. I got such a long list. What I think would be the most useful initially, and I don't know if anything I would pass would be likely, but either the one bill at a time or the name the bills, because the public are fooled by names. And
Oh, the Patriot Act.
Well, that's one, yeah, but the Inflation Reduction Act in particular, they brag about all this government spending that's going on in the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a direct cause of inflation, right? So, my Democrat opponent brags about money for buses and all this stuff that the government had to borrow money or print money to do, which is a direct cause of inflation. Yet they call it the Inflation Reduction Act. Or what's going to happen? Probably in December, they'll call some spending bill to reauthorize government spending, an omnibus bill. And not only will it have everything that they fought about already in it, it'll have all this other pork in it, all these handouts and earmarks and all these other things. And it'll be, if it's like in previous years, it'll be right before Christmas, so people aren't paying attention. And that's where the dirty work of government happens, right? It's when things are bipartisan.
They're doing it now too.
Yeah.
Hey, we went past 35 trillion July 29th. We're already over 35.8. So they've spent 800, they borrowed, sorry, not spent, borrowed and sent over $800 billion in under 3 months. And because everybody's arguing over who should win the election, we're not paying attention to their corruption.
Well, there's an interesting story back in 2016 in the New Yorker, I think, called Thomas Massey's 500-yard dash. And I'll try to make it short. But basically, everybody in Congress, when they're in their office, they can directly see what's going on the floor of the House in case they need to go vote, right? Mm-hmm. So the story said that Massey, who is kind of a libertarian, I wish he was in our party, but he would sit in his office, and when he saw some voting going on that didn't have a quorum, he would run over there and request a roll call vote. So apparently it's common in the House of Representatives to only have 80 or 100 people there on a day where there's nothing newsworthy happening. Both the big parties are represented in that. And whoever's chairing, usually not the speaker, but maybe the majority leader or the whip, they're passing this legislation that is good for all the donors of both parties, right? They're passing things, and they're passing it without roll call votes. They're passing it on voice vote or whatever, by acclamation. So he runs over there when he sees that going on, or at least he used to back in 2016, and requests a roll call vote, which is, as we know, because we're libertarians and because even if we didn't want to, we've had to learn about Robert's rules a little bit. It's a privileged thing. So what they'll do is they'll withdraw the vote rather than have a roll call vote, because the roll call vote would do two things. There'd be representatives voting for things that they probably claim they would never vote for or support, and it would show there wasn't even a quorum there. And that's a relatively common thing. As a matter of fact, it happened in the Senate just this last cycle when my Democrat opponent, Tammy Baldwin, was trying to pass the Restrict Act, which would have outlawed TikTok, to make it a short story. And they tried to do that at 11:30 at night, and Rand Paul requested a roll call vote, and there was only like 35 people on the floor of the Senate. They didn't even have a quorum. So that's, and I'm not propping up those two gentlemen, that's not the purpose of this story, but that's to tell what actually happens in government. We're not represented. The system that we think we have is not operating how it's supposed to. They're cheating the system. They're cheating all of their people that they're supposedly representing, and it's just broken. And so one of the things that I get asked, I'm sure you guys get asked the same thing, what could you possibly do as one or two or three libertarian members of the Senate? And one of the things would be, I'd sit my butt down on the floor, not on the floor, but and just wait and not let that stuff happen. And that would be, if I had to camp out there, that's what I would do, and make sure that the roll call votes were requested when there was that BS going on, and make sure it didn't happen. And that would be progress.
So the guys at Costco that changed my tire, and they were like, "Hey, we voted for you." They told me their rationale, and they said a libertarian in the U.S. Senate would be that swing vote for the people on the things that are good and that a lot of people want already. So when Michael, when you asked, like, what's your first thing that you would, what's the first bill that you'd vote on and try to pass? Like, mine for me is easy legalization of cannabis. There's already support for it on both sides. We just need that extra little vote. And that's one thing that I can be proud as a libertarian to do. Go ahead and vote to free the trees. So
I'll go with you. I'll be with you.
I mean,
because that leads to campaign, or that leads to you mentioned criminal justice reform.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes and flows from decriminalizing, legalizing cannabis. There's a lot that comes from that, a lot of positive good in terms of incarceration rates and the effect it has on families and the racist aspects of how it started and all and continue to be. All of those things flow from making it legal again
Yeah.
and not taxed.
And there's no victimless crimes.
Exactly.
There are no victimless crimes.
Right.
And actually federally legalizing it, because the only place, I think it's University of Mississippi, they're the only place that can test it. And the stuff that they test isn't what people smoke out on the street. So we could actually get some testing in, and maybe we could explore for the medicinal qualities too, because it's an edible plant or an edible flower, edible seed. It's a medicine and an intoxicant. It should be studied like the miracle drug it is, not hid away so that, I don't know, we get.
But not government funded science, though, because we know what happens with that. You look at the nutrition science from the 1960s that ended with that's, started that inverted food pyramid that's led to 200 million people being poisoned with type 2 diabetes as we speak.
Oh, yeah.
And along with the COVID stuff, too, that's got to be allowed independent testing, not the government saying, OK, we'll spend money on the NIH to study it or whatever, because they'll come back with the results that they want to, right? That the donors want, not what the people want.
That's the thing right now. A representative republic, you're a minority voice, I'm a minority voice, not BIPOC in this case, but minority is in numbers. If I'm polling 6 to 8% or whatever it is, then that's 6 to 8% of the people who like what I have to say. Therefore, what I have to say should be shown, because we shouldn't have a tyranny of the majority. We're a republic. And the fact that they silence our voices and the corporate media is complicit, and you have to be rich or bought to get one of the duopoly seats, it means government cannot represent us. It cannot represent us, because you have to be on their agenda to get in.
Exactly. And it's so brazen now, right? The whole process for both presidential primaries, the whole situation was so obvious. They didn't even
have one.
They're not even exactly. They're not even hiding it anymore. And Democrats don't care.
The party of democracy. Woo!
It's shocking. It's shocking what people will believe, right? Despite the evidence that's directly in front of them, it's shocking. And that's in a grander sense, that's what we're really up against, is people that have been conditioned and who have an identity and a worldview that involves them believing that they're more patriotic or virtuous or whatever by being a Republican, or more kind or smarter by being a Democrat, and breaking them out of their own identity that involves, voting for whichever candidate's put in front of them. That's the tough nut to crack. We'd have all our talking points, and we know we're right, and we know what we're trying to do, and we know it's good for America and Americans, but people just would rather live in a comfortable illusion. No matter how much evidence is put in front of them, they'd rather live in a comfortable illusion than to have to make an uncomfortable change, even if it's for truth and even if it's for their own benefit. It's a very abusive relationship that the American people have been conditioned into being in, where they don't believe they're being abused and they still believe they're being serviced by this system. And
you're in an abusive relationship with your government.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's the same. And this is not to reduce and I'm careful, the audience that I make that analogy with, because it's obviously actual domestic abuse is very, very serious. One of the most serious things that can happen, but it is analogous. Definitely the way that people react to their abusive government or their abusive party being told the truth on, and they're like, no, or they'll be better, or we can't, at least it's better than the alternative, and that whole thing. It's very much that mindset.
If you haven't read Influence by Robert Cialdini, you should read it. It'll put a lot of this stuff in perspective, and I'm still mad at the guy who had me read it.
Well, maybe after I've got a stack of books like that high next to my bedstand that I've not been reading for a year and a half since this campaign, but I'll add that to it.
I listen while I'm riding now, so yeah, it's more listen instead of read lately. But yeah.
So Phil, you said this is your sixth race.
Fifth.
What other or fifth race? Sorry. What other races have you done?
I ran for state assembly twice, and for U.S. Senate in 2016 and for governor in 2018.
Nice. So you are experienced. This isn't your first full state race. You know the game.
Yep.
What has been the most rewarding experience out of all your campaigns?
Well, in this particular one, well, first of all, it was finding libertarians in 2016. And having Gary Johnson, a relatively well-known candidate at the top of the ticket, really helped. So he got about 105, 110,000 votes. And I got a little over 87,000. At the time, I only knew maybe 200 libertarians. So the fact that all those people out there voted libertarian for whatever reason was wonderful. And it became my goal to try and connect with as many of them as I could. But in this particular cycle, finding people who agree on the problem, maybe not the solution, but there are a lot of people out there that know that the government and that the two-party system is broken, and they still, to a certain extent, participate in it or hold their nose and vote for their preferred or least hated duopoly candidate. But at least we're finding people who agree and who recognize that it's broken. And part of my vote total and the people that have been supporting me this time are non-traditional. They're not libertarians. They're people that agree that we've got a problem and are willing to work with me. Peace marches, cannabis marches, Bitcoin events, that sort of stuff. They're willing to work and support because they understand that at this point, if we're going to solve the problem of a massively tyrannical two-party system, that those of us on the outside, to a certain extent, have to work together and maybe not channel each other's messages, but certainly support and be willing to open our minds to supporting candidates who we don't agree with on solutions. But my point has been all along, and that's why disrupt the corruption is the motto. And that's actually going to be on the ballot and not libertarian. In Wisconsin, you have the choice between putting your party affiliation on the ballot and putting a statement of principle. So I decided a statement of principle because libertarians, because I've run and I've been the state chair and on the LNC, et cetera, they know who I am. So they're going to vote for me. They're not going to misidentify me. But those people who realize that corruption is the massive problem in the government are going to vote for me too, I think. And so having reached those people has been very satisfying. And my point has been that none of us have a chance of even being heard in the process, in the media, on the floor of the House or the Senate, in the floor of most state houses, if we don't work together to at least break down the duopoly wall. And the response to that message has been positive. And we'll see how it goes on election day. Because as I said, the countervailing winds are don't waste your vote. It's, the Trump, as of today, I think, or yesterday, the last poll that came out had them Trump and Harris dead even at 49.8%. That exact number, 49.8 on each side, in the Hovde Baldwin race is about that close too. So it's going to be hard to.
I'm just going to throw out there that the race goes not to the swift. Winning is up to two things. If God wants you to win, He'll find a way for you to win. And we don't need millions to spend. All you need is the people to vote because your name is on the ballot. That means they have 1 out of 3 to pick. And if they're tired of the status quo, Maryland is solid blue. Votes for Republican candidates for most of us is just a waste if you decide to vote Republican. But nobody tells that to them because they want it to be a two-person race, and it's not. You're in the race. You're on the ballot. They should vote Libertarian because
I
the
agree.
corruption.
And one of my other messages too is to not think about just this election cycle. So if you vote for somebody that's in a small minority of votes, that means something. That shows that there's support for those ideas and for those candidates. And that doesn't get buried in the results that go to the duopoly candidates. Mm-hmm. And so that can build momentum from cycle to cycle. So that's what, if we want generational change, radical change to happen in the federal government or anywhere, we need to not just think about, I would rather have one of the duopoly candidates win for whatever reason. So I'll vote that way because that still results in, the tyranny of the current governmental system.
Nothing changes. Everything's the same. We have, you know what? I'm not even going to bring that up. We keep arguing the same thing. I call it God, gays, and guns, the 3 Gs, and now reproductive rights is in there. We argue the same things again and again. Immigration, Social Security, nothing's fixed. because power lies in the argument, not in the cure.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So we've got some comments from the audience I want to go over just a little bit. Joe Hanush asked, who was that wild guy promoting Nathan Slusher? I believe that was a candidate too. He's a candidate out in Volusia, and he's running for House of Representatives out in Volusia for Florida, and he's on your ballot if you are in Volusia. If you know Joe Hanush out in Volusia is on your ballot. So there's some more. Hey, is Mike's necklace on the ballot? And then Mike's necklace was featured on the LP social media. It should run for party chair.
a superhero needs a recognizable symbol. It's just a cross.
And then Joe said, and this was about
Joe is a Twitter champion. Every time he brings something up, Joe, I want to meet you in person someday, Joe, because he tweets about my campaign almost as much as I do, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's doing that for all of us. That you're doing the Lord's work, Joe.
Mm-hmm. So he said, I would vote for Phil if I was in Wisconsin. No need to convince me further. And that was over your smear campaign video.
Well, Joe's been supportive for months, weeks, if not months.
Elizabeth Cochleard up in Indiana said, imagine if the LP put as much pride in our candidates. And I think she was talking about the picture,
the Angela picture.
The picture with our party chair sitting down with a former president.
Yeah.
And then battered voter syndrome. You just don't know them like I do. They really are a good party. Yeah, you just don't know.
I'll use that battered voter syndrome. That's perfect.
Wisconsin has some of the most amazing libertarians. Yes, they do, Elizabeth. I love Elizabeth.
Well, she's been here a couple times too. We've met. I think we had dinner together at our convention last year or the year before.
Got one more from Elizabeth. Indiana has a GOP supermajority, so Republicans are resting on the R next to their name and refuse to debate or show for public forum. Yeah. So you said there was a debate for your race in Wisconsin, correct?
Yes, it was sponsored by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association, which, of course, their best customers are the GOP and the Democratic Party this time of year. So they set the limits at you have to have raised $500,000 and be polling at 10% before they'll invite you. So
$500,000.
So we had a shot based at 2016. We didn't poll at 10%, but $500,000 is a lot of money, obviously.
$500,000, I could win Florida. I feel like it. As much as money as I've spent and I've done as much damage as I've done in Florida, $500,000 I could win.
I feel the same way. I could win here too. But there was only one debate, and they used to be, that the League of Women Voters or other organizations would organize debates, but none of them does it anymore. It's just this one debate between the two duopoly candidates, just the one, and nobody else is sponsoring any. And they just told lies about each other the whole hour while we stood outside, our group of 30 people or so. And we actually live streamed the debate with me using StreamYard and me giving answers in real time to the questions. And my answers were, of course, infinitely better and more helpful. Whatever.
That's why you're not on the stage. See?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. That's really the point, is that they would rather, and this holds true for any race like this, they would rather tell lies about each other and stick to their talking points and not address the real systemic problems than to have anybody come in and start talking about war and peace, legalization, the other issues I mentioned with how government's running and how Congress runs. They don't want any of that because the donors to both big parties, that's the way they want things to be. And they don't really care that much whether it's Tammy Baldwin or Eric Hovde in the Senate.
Yeah. I was going to say the really big donors are putting money on both.
Oh, exactly. And as long as I think the main two are the war machine and the Fed, as long as those two are not challenged, then everything else can be argued over, because the donors don't really care about abortion, or maybe not that much about immigration. I don't know, whatever it might be. They really care that the war machine continues to chug along and kill people and make a ton of money, and that the Fed is continually there to prop whoever up and distribute newly printed money to their banker friends. That's what makes the world go around right now. The American empire, banks, and war.
Well, Phil, I'm going to give you the solo spotlight one more time because we got to get to our Chase Oliver update and tell folks where they can find you. I got it scrolling across the bottom. Your last words, last remarks, get out the vote. Go for it.
Yeah, listeners, please. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're probably either have voted or will vote Libertarian. Stick to your guns and treat this as something that you talk about to your friends and neighbors as if the house is on fire or there's a rabid dog in the neighborhood. This is not, it's not time. It will never be time, probably anytime soon, to be quiet or to hide your libertarianism or your willingness to tell the truth about things. And be gentle, like Nick Sarwark says. Don't be an a-hole. I can't believe I'm quoting that guy though. But tell the truth, and sooner or later, the truth will prevail, and we will prevail. And even if not, then you could live a life where you'll know that you've lived on your feet and not died on your knees. You can find me at Anderson for U.S. Senate. If you go to the main page there, you can follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all of the things, TikTok, etc. If you have a few spare dollars, first give them to Fina. Fina sounds like she's in more campaign financial trouble than I am, but I could use some dollars too to finish out this last week. We're running Google ads. We're running all kinds of stuff that could use a little more money behind it. So feel free to go to my website and donate. Either dollars or cryptocurrency are both available. And please just stick with your guns and be patient. Think beyond election cycles and think more about generational change, and stick with us in this fight. All of us.
And
yes.
Libertarian, thank you so much for running, man.
Well, thank you guys too. I know how hard it is, believe me. And the things that people say about us and misunderstand and lie about, and we don't have the ammunition or the money to always, get our arguments, our responses heard. So it's an open platform for them to lie about what libertarians are, and that stinks. But all we can do is what we can do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for coming on Campaign Update. We'll
Thanks,
check back in with
Thanks,
you
Mike.
later.
In a world where tyranny spreads like a virus, a movement to restore your liberty grows. In Chase Oliver's America, you can say goodbye to high inflation, lockdowns and mandates, and endless wars. The middle class grows stronger when they get to keep their whole paycheck.
More and more people are waking up to the fact that the two-party system is really a one-party system in this country. Both of them have been driving up inflation. Both of them run debts and deficits every single year that causes our Treasury to print trillions of dollars.
Now, the 2024 presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party is Chase Oliver. He could make a difference.
We've tried to work within the system. We've tried to compromise. It's time to dare to be different. It's time to build a competitive third party. Stand up and say no more and take our freedom back.
I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Hello, Amber. Happy Halloween. Aren't you spooky?
This is me all the time. I got a brand new computer set up, so I have all the things now.
All the things.
All the things.
All right. So what is going on with the Chase Oliver campaign this week?
Well, Chase is going to El Paso to do a forum on Palestine. And then we are working on get out the vote efforts.
Yeah. So what's he been doing this week? What's he been doing this past week?
So we went to California.
Okay.
You know me, you know that's my favorite place on earth. Not really. I do not like California, but we had a really good turnout. So I'm gonna start with pictures. So we went to the Abbey and had a little meet and greet there. It was good. Probably 30 people responded. And I couldn't put all the pictures in here, but we had a lot of pictures.
Yeah, Ovens?
Ovens, yes.
Oh, yeah, California. This is from after the free and equal debate.
That was actually the night before.
Okay.
So it was the night before, and then we did the free and equal debate. But Ovens came to the free and equal debate too, and Mimi. I was very glad to have a friend to sit with. He was talking. And then when everything wound down, that was the group that was left.
Yeah.
And then here is the pictures from Free and Equal. Get a little blooper in there.
I love the cat meowing.
Oh, you hear Luna?
Oh, yeah.
Look, she was very soundly asleep on my desk, not causing any chaos. And then I got on here and she's like,
She's just saying Chase is the cat's meow.
he is though. All right.
Yeah, I want to say about the free and equal debate. I want to say a little bit about the free and equal debate because I listened to it. I was driving through the Florida Everglades, listening and watching that, had it cranked up. And I know that there was, there's definitely some folks that are, criticize the format of the show, but I loved it. I loved that they were incorporating art and artists into it instead of having, Baywatch commercials and football commercials and the artists, some of them were better than others, but there was one song that I had never heard before by Shania Twain, and a Native American woman sang it in a cappella, and she dedicated it to the children in war-torn countries like Gaza. And I was driving and it got a tear out of me because it was just powerful. And it was right after they were doing the debate about immigration, and Randall Terry had, basically said some pretty extreme bigotry stuff. And Jill Stein came back and was like, no, she called him out and she was like, I repute you. And I was like, yeah, that's got cold chills with that. And then it followed up with that song. And I was just like, it had my emotions, and that's the power of art. Art can affect you in a way that can really resonate within your soul and make ideas and whatever the communication is really sink into your level. And I just thought it was great. I thought Chase Oliver did the best on immigration. I thought that debate really highlighted the differences between the Green Party, the Libertarians, and the Constitutional Party. And I feel like Americans are looking at, if they're looking at these alternative candidates, I really feel like Chase Oliver's got a really good shot for this, a really good shot to circle in and corral those votes our way. And I thought he did great. Like I said, the best immigration responses came from him. And no one else is saying the things that he's saying. He's saying the things that are apparent in that, immigrants come over and make our country better. Our country is founded on immigration. No one here is, truly native unless they are Native American. We are all, products of immigration in one way or another. And, we make the best of what we have and what we do. And gosh, I just really thought it was a really good answer. Anyways, go back to Chase Oliver update.
He was the best. He's the only libertarian on the ticket. And he's by far the best on social and financial. I just don't understand.
And Chase has a lot of charisma and is very well spoken too. So I think that helps with his messaging a lot too.
Absolutely.
But with the commercials thing, so they were streaming on C-SPAN and Scripps News. So they had to fill those commercial breaks. So what you would have seen on C-SPAN was completely different than what you saw in the live. So, but anyway, where did I left off at the funny picture?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we all went to North Carolina, and I didn't get a whole lot of pictures there, but these are all people that just popped up and was like, oh my gosh, I'm voting for you, or I already voted for you. So that was really cool. And that couldn't have been a better way to end my Chase tour.
Yes. North Carolina's strong. We had a North Carolina candidate on last week while you were out. And it was Bob Drake from, he's running for North Carolina auditor. Totally the most qualified person on the ballot to be an auditor by a long shot. And, the Florida Fair, or not Florida, but the North Carolina State Fair is just a big thing. Nice. Gun range time.
Yeah. So I got one shot in, and then I sat back to take pictures. But
Good
Sasha
on you.
I did pretty okay. I had my glasses on, so I couldn't see anything, but I still hit the target. So.
Yeah, this is one thing I love about libertarian candidates. We always have a range day. We've got range days. You know, the Republicans try to say that they're pro 2A, but where's their range day shoots? You know, where's their photo shoot with a gun?
Yeah,
where are they even saying that they're, you know, that they even own a gun?
Well, this was a charity thing. So you pay like $5 to shoot one buckshot or birdshot, whichever one it was. I think it was bird, probably the smaller. And then whoever gets most of the target either gets a turkey or a T-shirt.
That's
and
good.
And Sasha got the turkey.
Nice.
So it was a good weekend for us. And then Mike, and I didn't get any pictures of this. I wish I could have, but nobody has any. But Mike did a town hall, not with JD Vance, but they were doing the same town hall. So he came, JD Vance came on, and then Mike came on, or it might have been vice versa. But that was something really, really big that Mike has done in the past week. Oh, there she is.
Oh, there's the kitty. You know, it's funny, when I made your intro, I don't think you had a cat yet. I don't
Not
think you
yet.
had one yet.
I think I had at that time I had applied to adopt 3, and then when I got Luna, so I had another cat named Lucy who died a year ago.
Aw.
She was very, very old. She was 17 when she died, so don't feel sad. I knew it was coming. But we always do a family camping trip on Labor Day. Is that the one in September?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she died while I was on that camping trip, and that's the same weekend that I got Luna. So I was like, this is meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
All
now
right.
she
So what's
turned
coming up?
18.
What's coming up next week? You're going to be in El Paso,
We're
and
gonna be
then
in El Paso. So he's on a plane now, so he'll be landing, doing the forum, and then coming home tomorrow. And then we're doing get out the vote efforts in Georgia, so he'll be kind of around the state. And then Monday we are flying to Dallas, and we will be in Dallas for most of next week.
I'll be flying to Dallas on Monday as well.
Yay!
Yeah. I hope they have Texas, if you're listening. As a candidate, this is my 3rd run, and I have kind of a small tradition I do on election night where I binge cookies and milk. And I like Oreos. I like my cookies crunchy because I like to dip them in the milk, and I'm going to eat a lot of them. So if it's possible, can we have some milk available? I'll bring my own Oreos. But I know what's up.
Is there Kahlua in the milk?
I don't usually drink. Last year, or not last year, but last election, 2022, I did drink that night, and I got a little too toasty for my. It's right. Okay, so I'm not a big drinker because when I drink, it just like it allows my emotions to take over, and so that could go lots of different ways. You know, it could either mean like I'm taking my clothes off and all that craziness, right? Or it could mean I'm gonna start a fight.
Nope.
Or it could mean
Say
I'm
no more.
pouring my beer. And
We
No,
do
no,
not
no.
add whiskey to Fina. We leave Fina away from the alcohol. You know, she gets one a night, maybe one.
yeah, like wine maybe, but even then, like I'm walking around with purple teeth, like hey.
I'll be right there with you. My limit is 3. 2 is tipsy, 3 is drunk for me. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's such a fine line. You can't. 3 is like it might be stumbling, and at 4, I'm definitely gonna hurt myself. I'm gonna fall.
Yep.
I used to be able to drink enough to kill a small rhinoceros.
Right? When
A
I was in
really large
college, I
rhinoceros,
could
actually.
drink men under the table, no problem. Like I always, when we went downtown, and this was UGA, whenever we went downtown, everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, you're drinking Guinness," and I'm like, "Yeah." But I'd have like 12 of them in one night and be fine. Now I can't do it.
I had a thing for that, and it was I didn't know if I was going to actually put it out there, and I guess I didn't put it out there, but it was a Gen X thing. showing everybody else going crazy, and then Gen X was sitting there with a martini, and it was the chick from Will and Grace, sitting back with a martini, relaxing, while everybody else was, going loopy.
Yep.
I didn't put it up.
All right. Well, Amber, next week we'll be talking live from Texas.
Yay. So I need to block out. I guess, just let me know how to do that in person.
Okay. So what I'm thinking for next week's episode. All right, Mike, I know you said earlier that Phil Anderson was the last. He's not. He's not. I swear every time I look at the list, I'm like, I missed somebody else. So yeah, I'm going to do something I said I wasn't going to do for the show, and I'm going to do some recordings. So I want to make sure that I get, so there'll be some recordings that we'll go through. If I can get a live guest, I'm going to get a live guest. Now, Chase Oliver has already said that he would be a live guest. I would love to have Mike Trematt as a live guest too. It's,
because you're going to be on site. Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
Or even any of the Texas candidates that are there. Like, come on. I want it to be more of like a celebratory episode. Mike, you're going to be having to hold down on like the stream and the like getting it going, because I'll take my laptop. I will take my laptop, but at the same time, it's not going to, I don't necessarily trust the Wi-Fi of the hotel. I don't, and plus it might be loud where I'm at. There's just so many unknown variables that, like, I'm going to need you to be the man.
I can take producer.
Yes. So, oh, look at there. There we go. That gives me an idea. Should bring some audio equipment to Dallas. Yes, please do. That'd be great.
We would love that.
Yeah. So I'll probably bring my Yeti mic, which is stationary. I don't trust my lapel mics because I've used them before in the past and they weren't great quality. So I'm probably not going to use the lapel mics.
Oh, speaking of mics, I love that one.
Libertarian Party. Yeah, there was one of those at the debate, the free and equal debate. Luckily, they didn't catch anything too off color. Just Chase telling us that he sings Journey terribly.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, I sing it pretty good, but then again, like that's in my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
it's my vocal range, and
I don't have the range.
Yeah,
I don't have the range.
Well, we've got another guest coming on, and I've not heard from them, Amber, but I will let you. I'll let you go while I try to find where our next guest is, and if worst case scenario, we'll go. Mike and I will just debate some issues and play some commercials if our guests don't show up, because that's the name of the game. Amber, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
All righty. Bye, y'all.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye. All right. So our next guest should be, let me pull him up. It is Jordan Roden, who's running for Congress out of Missouri for the 3rd district. And I know I sent him an email, and I'm going to try to search through my my chats and try to find if he's responded. But until then, let's play a commercial. Mike, you pick commercial.
Oh gosh. I like the one where you're sitting staring into the camera with the braids.
Oh, you like that one?
I like that one.
I'm Fina Benoan, and I approve this message. Imagine if we had the same enthusiasm for building rockets to go to outer space as we do for rockets with warheads to go to foreign countries. From the moment we knew of our sun's expiration date, our star, we had a moral obligation to our future generations.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of SpaceX Dragon, hoisting harmony to the heavens and opening new gateways for international science.
To work together and find a way to escape this peril. It's bigger than one person. It's bigger than a generation. From the moment we knew of our sun's expiration date, our star, we had a moral obligation to our future generations to work together and find a way to escape this peril. This is bigger than one person. It's bigger than one generation. But if we all do what we can, when we can, together, we can save the future of humanity. Okay, so Jordan is still trying to get in. I'm resending him the link.
By the way, it's completely true. All we have to do is decide to work together and decide that we want stuff better. We don't have to be in lockstep 100% on every freaking issue. All we got to do is go, you know what? All of us want to shrink government and lower taxes, and we can figure out the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because transparency, corruption, and taxes, we got real issues we can attack before we go after the stuff that we want to fight about.
Amen to that. I'm going to play another commercial, see if he comes back on. I'm going to play Michael White's commercial because he's got a really winnable race and we can't promote him enough. Just, let's go.
I'm out here on a very windy afternoon in front of the Arkansas Capitol building here in Little Rock. And if you're not from Little Rock and that building looks familiar to you, well, there's a reason. You see, when construction began on it in 1899, the idea was that it would be a replica of the U.S. Capitol building. And when construction completed in 1915, that's exactly what we got. It really is an absolutely gorgeous piece of construction. The exterior is Batesville limestone, quarried in northwest Arkansas. Inside, there's marble and granite from Alabama all the way to Colorado. There's even 24-karat gold-plated Tiffany chandeliers inside that building. My favorite part of its construction, however, is the exterior brass doors. They're kind of obscured by this tree, but when you're coming up from the river in the morning and the morning sunlight's hitting them just right, it's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I wish I could tell you that the things that came out of this building were just as beautiful as its construction, but I can't. Namely because government's job isn't to create beauty or ugly or good or bad. Government's role in a free society is to secure the rights that you and I are born with. And we are born with rights. We have rights that precede government. Obviously we do. Because think about it, that building didn't give birth to our ancestors. Our ancestors gave rise to that building. The Arkansas Constitution didn't create you and I. It was our ancestors who created the Arkansas Constitution, and you and I who amend it to this day. Now, governments and buildings and people in buildings like this, during times of crisis especially, do not have a great track record of securing those rights. In fact, during scary times, they've done horrible things, like throwing people into internment camps when they were of a different nationality, forbidding their speech, compelling their speech, taking their property, compelling their labor, conscripting them into military service, preventing them from peaceably gathering and assembling and worshiping how they wish to, disarming them, throwing them in cages, in boxcars, and sometimes killing them. This isn't hyperbole or vitriol. This is just the objective truth of what petty tyrants in buildings just like this have done throughout the ages. Now, we know that times are uncertain, and we certainly have some uncertain times coming. I think we all agree that the economy is not as strong as the media would have us believe, that we have these rising tensions in the Middle East, Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, North Korea. We have a fragmented southern border, And it appears that the federal government has an out-of-control spending policy that threatens the very existence of the dollar itself. And of course, we always are under threat from the very next medical emergency. I don't know what the next thing is going to be that comes to Arkansas. I don't know what it's going to be, but I guarantee you this, no matter how scary it is, if I'm in that building, I'm fighting to defend your rights. I'm fighting to make sure you're not disarmed. I'm fighting to make sure you keep your free speech, that you own your property, that you own your labor, that you have the ability to peaceably gather and assemble and worship how you want to worship and live how you want to live, so long as you aren't hurting anybody. I promise you, that is my oath to you, that I will be in there defending you as long as I can stand and breathe and have a heartbeat. But here's the deal. I can't get elected into this building if I cannot get my message out. I have 30,000 people in my district. Roughly half of them are voters, and I need to let them know about this principled liberty message that we're running on. So please, I'm asking for your donation. We need to raise $6,000 in the month of August alone. We are far from making that goal. There's about 4,500 of you that follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, about 10,000 that follow me on Facebook. That's roughly 15,000 people. If just 1% of you gave $50, we would basically be where we need to be. Now, look, I know times are tough. I know that other campaigns have your financial interest. I get it. But I'm going to remind you that you cannot buy your rights back. You can't buy them back. However, you can invest in defending them today. And any U.S. citizen can donate to our campaign. And you might be saying, well, Michael, I don't live in Arkansas. Why do I care about what happens if you get elected to the state house or not? Well, here's why. Because this is the most winnable race for liberty in the country, hands down. And the brush fire of freedom that starts the revolution across the country has to start somewhere. And there's no reason it can't be right here in Arkansas. The people of the 75th District, you have a big decision to make. You can vote for more of the same old, or you can vote for someone like me who is committed to defending your rights and relegating government to its proper role. So please, I'm asking you, I am begging you, I am imploring you, needing your help and your financial assistance to make sure that I can win this election in November. So visit our website, mw4liberty.com/donate, make a financial contribution. $25, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, $3,000, $3,300 is the max. Anything you can give, I promise you that I will do my part, that I will conduct myself with integrity, I'll advertise a winning message, I'll knock on doors, and I will be available to the constituents that I am aiming to serve. So please, make a difference today. Be the type of ancestor that your future offspring look back on and go, they did the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. The future of liberty depends largely on you. Visit mw4liberty.com/donate. Choose liberty, make history. My name is Michael White, and I approve this message.
All right, we have our guest. All right, I'm going to bring Jordan. Are you ready to come on? Thumbs up. Okay. All right, folks. Jordan Rodan from Missouri. Big round of applause.
It's Rowden. I get Roden all the time, so no big deal. But just thought I'd clarify. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me.
No worries.
So welcome to Campaign Updates. I'm going to give you the solo spotlight. If you would tell our audience members who you are, what you're running for, and what are some of the top issues in your district and how to find you, and go.
Yeah, I'm Jordan Rowden. I'm from central Missouri, small town. Grew up in a place of like 700 people, but been in Missouri my whole life. I'm running for U.S. Congress in Missouri's 3rd district. I've spent some time in some ministry work. I've got a bachelor's degree in financial services, so I did some work in that before that. But yeah, I spent 3 years in the inner city of Milwaukee doing ministry work, and then just kind of been back in Missouri the last 5 years doing different self-employed things. I do online sales and some other just kind of gig work at this moment. But growing up in Missouri, I've just kind of always, the small town rural areas, they want to be free. And for my whole life, I was told that the Republicans wanted small government, and then just getting lied to after election after election, never actually seeing small government, kind of decided to they weren't the party for me anymore. And then I got more familiar with the Libertarian Party. We didn't have anybody running in this area this election cycle, so I decided to throw my hat in the ring. And so it's just kind of been going through that kind of process. Had a lot of help from the St. Charles Libertarian Party group. They've been very helpful in my campaign and getting me connected with different things. So yeah, and then just kind of the few different issues that we face here in Missouri are, one, the economy. I think that's pretty high on everybody's list with the way inflation's been the last few years. You know, and we know why that is, because, you know, government spending, printing money. I think a quarter of the, you know, dollar that's out in the public now has been released in the last 4 years. So, and then, which also brings us to the, you know, the government spending side, the debt. So I've been really pushing, you know, that the debt, you know, which sits at now $35 trillion, is the biggest threat long term, and just kind of connecting those two with the inflation and the debt and what really causes that. And then immigration is also a big issue. I know a lot of people kind of in this area, they don't care if people come who want to be, you know, productive citizens. So that's another place I can meet them at. You know, the Democrats right now, we just have anybody coming in. We don't know if they're, you know, terrorists or not. No background checks, nothing. And then, you know, the other Republicans just kind of shut it down completely. So I try to meet them in the middle with more of an Ellis Island style immigration system, where if people want to come in and be productive, you know, members of society, they should be allowed to come in. And most people agree with that here. They don't have any problems with people coming and doing stuff like that. So yeah, so those are my two main things I find out here in Missouri that people question and want to know what I would do to approach those deals. And then, you can find more of my campaign and more of my positions at jordanrowdenforcongress.org. I see that scroll across. And then there's links to all my social medias there as well.
Awesome. This is a bingo free space. I'm muted.
Okay, good.
So, Jordan, what's the dynamics of your race? Is it a two-way race, three-way race, 5?
Right now we have, I think, just 3, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. It's a newly drawn district. It was, you know, gerrymandered after the last election. The current holder of the office, he's retiring. So that was another bonus for me to kind of jump in. You know, when you're facing an incumbent, and especially third party trying to convince people to switch, it's even more difficult. But with it being an open seat, people are a little more open to hearing about third party and the issues. But I think last election it was like 67% Republican. So, you know, I mostly interact with people who are Republicans and so, you know, just meeting them where they're at and trying to convince them that if they actually want small government, I'm their option, not the other Republicans that they've been voting for election after election.
You should reach out to the Democrats on the other side and tell them the same thing and add, I'm also the only one who's going to give you all your liberties all the time.
Right. Yeah. We do. I mean, I don't run into them as much, but I do. That's kind of what I hit them with. And it's like the same with because when you're dealing with them, you get abortions, kind of a big issue right now too. You just kind of, personally, I'm more of a pro-life, but I tell them I'm not going to do a federal ban on the abortion, but I'm also not going to. And then when you go to the Republicans, you say I'm not going to let federal money, your tax money, to go towards abortions either. So you just kind of try to meet them where you can in the positions that you agree with.
That's the libertarian position, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So is this your first race?
This is my first race. My dad has run for offices in the past. He's currently a circuit judge. He is a Republican, but he listened to Rush. I listened to Rush Limbaugh with him growing up throughout all the years, and so but he was frustrated with the Republican Party too. But He's running for office, or he's still in office and stuff. So, but he's always frustrated that they never really shrink the government either. So, but he's just a little more entrenched into politics with it. So, but yeah, I mean, so I grew up around it. I didn't really start following politics till about 2010 when Obamacare and the Tea Party kind of came around. But then after following it since then, just never seeing the government actually shrink, really kind of got me more interested in running and trying to convince people.
How have they received you? Are you polling? Are you included in the polls?
I've been looking for polls. There's not really any polling because it was so heavily Republican. I don't think anybody's really watching it. So kind of my strategy has been to get on as many local radio stations as I can, because those are the most likely voters. If they're listening to talk radio, they're probably going to vote. And so I've been pretty successful with that. I've been on 4 or 5 different radio shows within the area a few different times. So that's been very helpful. And then when you're out and about meeting people, they'll be like, yeah, I agree with you on your positions and stuff, but I just don't think you have any chance of winning. And so I used to think that way as well. So I can kind of talk to them about that. I say, yeah, I used to be that way too. I was like, oh, if I vote third party, I'm wasting my vote. And then I tell them, but then I eventually realized I'm wasting my vote anyways, because I'm voting for these, say, Republicans, and they're promising me less government, fiscal responsibility, and they're never doing it. So I might as well vote for a party that actually has principles and will do that if they get into office. So that's where I kind of try to meet them and convince them that way.
So I wish you had the solo spotlight when you said that, because that was perfect.
Yeah,
that was perfect.
Yeah, I mean that's been my main pitch, even on social media and stuff, when I'm trying to make posts and get.
Well, and you said you were 70% Republican in your area. So if you vote for a Democrat in that area, you're wasting your vote too, because 7 out of 10 people are going to vote Republican.
Right.
But nobody ever tells the opposite party that. It's vice versa here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They just want to. It's just one of those things. I think we all know it's kind of the uniparty. If you see just the way Washington functions, they all, it's political theater. They speak what they need to say, then they'll do what they want to do to keep the government, big and, always spending money and stuff. So it's just trying to convince people that there's really not much difference even between the two parties when you really think about it and see the way they vote and how they, interact with the government and how they let things function.
Yeah.
So Missouri has how many House of Representatives?
I think we have 8 now. We used to have 9, and I think we lost 1 the last census. So I think we have 8. I think there's 8 districts.
Okay.
And I'm in the 3rd district. It's a big geographic area. The way they drew it, it's like a big C with St. Louis cut out.
That is them choose. That's politicians choosing voters, or worse, that's parties choosing voters.
Right. Yeah.
And that's bad for voters. It should be, divided somehow normally, not to maximize your power.
Yeah. I mean, both parties do it. Yeah. If they got control, they're going to gerrymander it however they need to get as many seats as they think they can. So it's just, it would be nice to have something different.
That's thwarting the will of the people. All of it is. We're terrible at that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think over the last century, Americans just kind of become used to it, and they don't really think much about it anymore. I really don't think. They just kind of let it happen to them.
Well, not paying attention to third-party voices is commonplace now. It's not even weird to be kept out of debates. Nobody argues about it. And they just like, oh, well, I mean, you just represent 6-8% of the people. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Those people don't need a voice.
Right. Yeah, it's frustrating. I tried to reach out to a couple places to see if they were going to do a debate. They weren't even going to do a debate in this district. I guess because they just assume, what's going to happen. But like I said, I think getting on the radio and really voicing, the third party platform, the libertarian platform, not just the third party, but libertarian platform, and that they're not wasting the vote. If they're voting for what they believe in, it's not a waste. Because even if we don't win, it puts pressure on the other two parties to be more
good candidates.
Yeah.
So you talk about getting on the radio. Did you reach out to the radio stations yourself, or did they reach out to you?
Mostly I had to reach out to them. I did have a couple, or just one reach out to me. No, two to reach out to me. So it took a couple tries to get a couple of them. So, but I got on. It wasn't, some of them just quick 5-minute thing, but at least it got my voice out there and name out there to help.
That's good. So you grew up in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
You got a family or anything like that out there?
No, not currently. Just brothers, sisters, mom and dad is still they all live in Missouri, but just in different parts of the state.
Okay. All right. So how did you come to libertarianism?
So we actually do have Ron Paul, he was popular when I was in high school. The first go around in 2008, I was a senior. And so it kind of started there. But I didn't really follow politics then. So, but I got a base knowledge of him. But again, I was somewhat paying attention, but not really. And so we have a radio host who's actually a libertarian in this area, in the Columbia, where the University of Missouri is. So he has a morning show, and just kind of hearing his positions and talking about some of his libertarian views. I think that kind of brought me more to the party and persuaded me. Yeah, I believe more what these people believe than what the Republicans believe. So that's kind of what got it started, and then just kind of, figuring out more and more, and just seeing the Republicans also, never actually doing the things I was hoping that they would do. So that's kind of what ultimately led me there.
Excellent. So what do you do when you're not running for office?
A lot of work right now. So, but it's kind of a busy time. If I'm either working or doing the running for office. I'm a big football fan, big baseball fan. So I was like, see from my attire here. Cardinals not been great last couple of years, but Chiefs went through some rough years, but last 6-7 years have been pretty good for them.
All right. Yeah. So what do you do for work?
Right now, I do sell stuff online, just on I do it like a website or eBay or Etsy, stuff like that, and then been doing like deliveries for Walmart and stuff. So
okay,
yeah,
doing that side hustle millennial game. I get it.
Yeah. After I came back from ministry work, I was just kind of still trying to figure out what to do. So these things have been keeping me going. So and then the running for office came up. So we'll see how everything keeps progressing with that.
I appreciate you running for office, man. That's amazing. So has the process put you off from it, or have you made a lot of connections? And how do you feel about the whole thing? Not necessarily about winning, but about the process and about.
Yeah. I've met some good people. Like I said, I got connected to the St. Charles Libertarian Party, which is north of St. Louis, and they're a very active group. So I've met a lot of people through that. So that's been a positive. I am more of an introvert, so this is something to kind of challenge me and not go outside my comfort zone. So at times that can be difficult, just getting through my own personality and stuff. So but talking to people, it's good, it's fun. You get to interact. My first interview, I was super nervous, thought it was going to be a disaster, but it turned out all right, and they just keep getting better because you get used to it. And then just dealing with being a third party. It's harder to get donations. It's harder to get people to take you serious at times. But but I wouldn't say I'm turned off. It's a little different than what I expected. But it's not like I would never do it again or anything like that. If I didn't win, I might, just keep going, because I feel like it's been a positive thing overall, and the country needs it. I mean, we need it. We're, like I said, we're in a lot of trouble with that and different things. So, ultimately we're supposed to be free Americans, but in a lot of ways we're really not. And just trying to convince people of that. Fun, it's been fun to just chat and talk with people about stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad you said you're going to run again.
Yeah.
You're still young. You're learning the ropes. This is your first race. It's a big race too. Anything that's going for the federal office is a big race. Don't think that it's not.
Yeah.
It's a higher calling, and we need libertarians. We need libertarians in Washington. We need them in the House, and we need them in the Senate. And we're not going to get libertarians in the House or the Senate if we don't have libertarians running for the House and the Senate. So thank you for running for the office.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate it.
And you're not alone, by the way. There are dozens of libertarians running for House positions in Congress all over the U.S. I don't have an actual number, but there are 11 people running for Senate. So I know dozens.
Yeah, I know. I think we have the guy in the district next to me is running. I met him through the St. Charles Libertarian Party. So we have him, and I think there's one other libertarian in Missouri. I think she's more on the Kansas City side, so kind of the opposite side of the state of us. So I haven't met her, but I think we have 3 in this state. And we have every office from governor down through attorney general and all that. We have libertarians running in the state. So that's pretty good.
Fill that ballot up.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that they said that's the first time they've had that in a while. And it's pretty easy. I know a lot of places have hard time getting ballot access. A lot of states, it makes it more difficult. With Missouri, just with the statewide races, I think the party has to get 2% to stay on for the next cycle. So I think we always hit that pretty easily. So it's not too hard.
Rock and roll.
Well, I'm going to share your website, and we'll just take a look at that with folks now. So this is your website here. Great picture, by the way. That's a good shot there. Got your donate page. Why am I running? My passion for politics began in 2010, beginning with the Tea Party and the implementation of Obamacare. After voting for Republicans election after election, I have grown tired of the unfulfilled promises, the ever-expanding government, and increasing national debt. I've gone through the process of accepting that voting third party is not a wasted vote, because instead voting for a party that makes you feel false promises and takes their constituents for granted is a wasted vote. My desire is now to give the people of Missouri's 3rd Congressional District a new option that will vote their values and reduce the size and scope of government. Folks, that's what it's all about today, reducing the size and scope of government. The U.S. what is this? Achieved by Republicans. U.S. national debt.
We're now above. We're at 35 plus.
35.8 trillion now. 35.8 in 3 months. Less than 3 months, we borrowed $800 billion.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Got the
Look at this. Do you guys see this? The national debt clock.
Because nobody's paying attention to them because we're all watching the election, so they're spending like crazy people.
Yeah. They had a bunch of authorized funds that they hadn't used through this administration. They're just dumping it now even more. So it's just going crazy.
I love this picture. George Washington, liberty, where it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. Yes. So, folks, for Halloween this year, I'm going to be George Washington. I am.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's get on the issues. What we got for issues? Second Amendment.
Issues page.
Bring the troops home. Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Let me make sure that says that.
Defend the guard.
Yeah.
Second Amendment will protect Americans.
Yeah. No, I saw Bring Troops Home. I always give a hashtag Defend the Guard when I see that.
Yeah, we always try to mention it anytime we're out and about. It's an important, I don't. Congress basically abdicated their duty to declare wars now, and they'll just send them off anytime they want without any vote. So
yeah.
Yes, sir. The current deficit, which is currently $34 trillion plus, always going up every day. That's a big one. Limit government. As your congressman, I promise to defend the Constitution and fight to limit government overreach. Yes. So,
yeah, so my sister's actually an elementary teacher, and her local history teacher got in contact with me, and I got to talk to some students through a video and telling them about the 100,000 pages of regulations they put out every year. So I hope that brought a little shock to them, because that's not small government, and that's not freedom. So trying to reach the younger generation too, to help them get an understanding of that.
yeah. And you know what? That's a great thing. It's like, what is the size of our government? Well, let's put all our laws on paper. Let's just put them on paper.
Yeah.
We'll even go to 10-point Times New Roman font, front and back page. And how big is that book? How many pages is that? And let's just do federal. We're not even going to get into state laws. We'll just do federal. Who's going to read that? Who wants to read that? Yeah. Nobody. We're not free.
They don't even read the laws they're trying to pass now. They were written by corporations, and the corporations are owned by whoever pays them, so they just sign off on them.
Yep.
Don't even change the letterhead.
Nope.
Yeah,
the old famous Nancy Pelosi quote, "We'll find out what's in it after we vote for it."
We gotta pass it to find out what's in it.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Oh, goodness. So if you are elected, because we asked this question to our last candidate, and I thought it was a great question, what are some of the first bills you're going to push to pass?
Probably the first one would be in the Fed. try to do that. I know at least I'd have a Thomas Massey, he'd at least co-sponsored or something. So we'd have a couple allies on that. And then that's probably the main one. And then maybe try the Ellis Island immigration, because the balanced budget thing would have to be more of an amendment. So that'd be a little more difficult I think they'd have to amend the Constitution. So, but
that's your job.
Yeah. I mean, I would try. I definitely would try. That would be something I would do. And then maybe a one issue law, voting on one issue per bill instead of doing this huge omnibus or what they do now. So I think if I got in, those would kind of be my four starters.
That sounds good for America. Sounds like peas and carrots to me.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite experience from running this campaign this year?
Probably been going to the gun shows. You get to see guns. You get to take a look around, and then you get to talk to people who are already kind of liberty minded. When you're at the gun shows, those people, they just want to live their lives. They don't want to be bothered by the government. So I think those have been very productive. We get quite a few here in Missouri in this area, so it's just been a good experience talking with them. We did the Missouri State Fair. That was pretty fun. Just kind of, again, meeting people, interacting, and challenging their preconceptions of politics and the parties that that they think they have to vote for. So just going to those events and meeting people, I think has been very positive.
Yeah, I always find friends with the gun enthusiast, because no one loves the Second Amendment like a libertarian loves the Second Amendment.
Right.
That's just the reality of it. And I don't know about you, if you're involved with any like gun communities or clubs or organizations, But they call if you become they call. They are organized. They
Yeah.
volunteer and they get they will call you. They'll call you for donations. They'll call you for support. They'll call you that they are organized. And now for like maybe 4 or 5 years now, I get the phone calls for the NRA, because I'm a lifetime member. After the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, after he got acquitted, I made a promise on the internet. I said, if Kyle Rittenhouse gets acquitted, I'm become a lifetime member to the NRA because I saw the good work they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I did. And now, when they call me, I get to talk to them as a lifetime member and complain that they don't include us in their in any of their surveys. They don't include us in their report cards or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I give them a mouthful every single time. I'll start donating again whenever you guys start including libertarians on your ballots, on your questionnaires. I appreciate that. It's
That'd
like
be nice.
there's nothing better for the Second Amendment than a libertarian in Washington.
Yeah. We take the shall not be infringed seriously, unlike some of the other two. So. That's one thing you kind of you could tell people within the gun, like we never have passed or never will pass or never will promote a law that infringes on your right, but other two parties have. And so it's just, again, they believe what we believe. Is just trying to, again, convince them that the third party is the way to go, the Libertarian Party's way to go for them.
Vote their own self-interest. They don't want to.
Nope.
What I've seen with the duopoly right now, because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz came out saying that they were gun carriers, I've seen Republicans turning on the Second Amendment just to be different from the Democrats.
Yeah.
And to me, I hope the people that care about their Second Amendment rights see that.
Yeah.
I hope they see that. Specifically in my race, Rick Scott, he's doing red flag laws.
Yeah.
He's doubling down on those. He's and I think it's all because the Democrats are now saying, well, we have guns.
Yeah.
But there's nothing saying that he has guns. Rick Scott's not come out and said, hey, I've got guns.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had a little incident in our Senate race in Missouri too. The Democrat was trying to show he was they were doing a filming of him shooting out of a gun range, and he shot a metal target, and the shrapnel hit a reporter that was on the scene. So that was a little bit interesting.
That doesn't sound like good range discipline.
No, I don't think they didn't seem like they'd been there much before. Probably after that, or before that, I mean. So yeah, it's interesting because it does seem like it's turning a little bit, because you never really seen the Democrats talk about the Second Amendment very much over the last couple of decades. So it's interesting to see that they are trying to promote that way, because I think that just tells where the American people are at. But yeah, and then you just tell them, the Republicans have passed, like even when Trump last time he was in office, they did the bump stocks ban. And all the Republicans support the red flag laws. So it's just
Trump said grab the guns and give due process later. And he's talking about criminals, but laws don't ever stay where they're supposed to. They always creep and expand.
Yeah.
And that's a gun grab. That is the start of a gun grab.
Yeah, for sure.
Folks, we got some comments I want to go through real quick before we end our show. We've got this one. Our government is so massive that is teetering on gravitational collapse, a black hole, a supermassive black hole, because of the weight, the gravitational weight of the size of our government is creating a void.
Yeah.
It has its own moons and weather systems.
That's good.
Not done. Got a few more. Okay. The golden candidates. Thank you, Arizona. Vocal Local.
Go gold.
And then Connor. Hey, Mike. God bless you for giving Marylanders a third option. Stay strong. Stay strong, Mike. You hang in there. And then Connor says, wow, that is a great analogy. It truly is. Thank you for that. Well, Jordan, we are coming towards the end of our show. I'm going to give you the solo spotlight one more time so you can tell folks where to find you, how they can help your campaign, and get the vote out, okay?
All right.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, it's Jordan Rowden for Congress.org. It's all spelled out. Links to my social medias. Any donations are always helpful here in the last week to really, try to get the vote out and everything. Keep meeting people. If you can, share on social media. If you know any family in Missouri, contact them. That'd be very helpful as well. Like I said, word of mouth is always great. People, trust the people within their own circle the most. So that's always a good thing too. Any support, any financial, like I said, word of mouth, posts, reshares, likes are always appreciated.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and giving us a campaign update from Missouri. Jordan, I wish you the best of luck in your race.
Thank you so much for running, dude. I'm serious. Stepping up and doing this, it takes gumption, and we need people to be able to go in and win again without being bought. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to encourage people. We need everyday people, not people who've been politics year after year after year. So trying to encourage more people to run locally and stuff as well. So it's always a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing. All right, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday live from Dallas.
Shocking.
There you go.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday.